Hey everybody, how's it going? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is the Empress. The second card is King of Cups. Wow, and Queen of Cups. Okay. Seeing the Tower. And Three of Wands. The thing that's jumping out to me more than anything right now, seeing Tower and Three of Wands, this feels like something about what was planned for the trajectory sort of coming apart, but only because you may have had like some type of idea about what the trajectory would be. And let me like say this in a more clear way. You know how sometimes we get to an area or like a period within our lives and there are these ideas that we have for like 5 years from now this is going to be happening, or like a year from now I want to be here. I feel like something is happening that has to do with like that. It feels like something that's happening now, but it has like something you're experiencing now, but it has to do with an idea or like a concept that you had for later down the line. So if you were like, by the time I get to 24 or like whatever, just like throwing something out there, that I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be doing this. Having Tower and Three of Wands feels like stuff that may not be like actually part of your path trajectory, but could have been sort of misprojected onto that. Meaning, maybe you're saying like, when I get to be 25, I'm gonna own a lotion shop, okay? So when you're like close to it, right? You're like, I don't know, like maybe you're 23 right now and you're thinking about things, and it feels like maybe you're getting to that point where you are touching base, I think, more with how you feel about things. Like when I see the Empress and I see King of Cups and Queen of Cups, immediately this feels like nurturing, creative type of energy where there would be like art, where there would be passion involved in what you're doing, where there would be some type of healing involved in what you're doing, where there could possibly be something about helping with transitions when it comes to what you're doing, like things of that nature, things where water are involved. And so having water be there, this can help take shape. But when you were thinking and you were planning about what your future was going to be, you could have had this idea like, I'm going to be having that lotion shop. But now that you're really connecting with yourself, and I think learning more about yourself, learning more about your interests, learning more about your skills and your gifts, this can be a time where those projections that didn't come from your soul about where you would be later down the line, it feels like looking at those things and saying like, that isn't going to be my future. I thought when I was maybe taking advice from this person, or when I was like out of touch making that calculation, I thought this was what I was going to be doing. But now that I'm here, it feels like those plans for the future are now collapsing in this moment. But this is also a very beautiful thing, because this feels like it's coming from a place of you being more in touch now. And so you see where you had been putting stuff on the agenda that was not really genuine for you as far as like what your future looks like. So even though you can look at it and feel like, I had all of these plans and now everything is collapsing and what's my future even gonna look like, it feels like it's time for this stuff to be checked anyway, because that was like not truly your path. These ideas of what that was gonna look like. and that this is coming from a place of you getting to know yourself, I think, a bit better. I think that you're in a place where you're really learning about what you're attracted to and learning about what you're interested in and what you have skills doing and where your values lie as far as your interests, things that you would be doing that feel worth it to you to be doing that, where you feel you find a sense of fulfillment, where you feel you'd find a sense of connection. And so you're sort of on that part of the journey now. So I think any prediction that you would have made for yourself that came at a time where you were not in touch with this part of yourself, it feels like those things are falling away now. Although when we have the Tower happening, it can feel a little bit destabilizing and it can have you questioning things and it can feel concerning, even though like I'm seeing this energetically be a great thing that's happening, because it feels like you're allowing yourself to understand yourself from a place of like wanting to seek the truth of your essence rather than trying to fit into something that doesn't feel genuine to you. And so now that is being like balanced again where it wasn't before. So even though you can be like, oh, my plans are going out the window, at the same time you can feel like you're in the midst of understanding a more genuine path for yourself, something that feels like it really honors you. And I also too, like seeing Venus here, I feel like maybe you're getting to understand your Venus energy a bit more. And your Venus energy is like what you find attractive, what you find beautiful, what you enjoy. And maybe there was stuff about your path that you set up that really didn't come from a place of enjoyment, but maybe like this person told me I should do this, or like my family does this, or I feel obligated to do this thing over here, but then not feeling like those things were really what you're meant to be doing. And now coming into this place of getting to know yourself a bit better, I feel like this is like from a place of you wanting to investigate more about yourself, to learn more about yourself, to learn more about what you like and whatnot, what you feel happy with, what you'd enjoy. That's the process that's happening here. I also too feel like this is about stuff that's happening on an emotional level for you. Like you can be going through some stuff emotionally where you feel like you're maturing, where you feel like you're growing up, where you feel like you're touching base more with yourself and like your true feelings, like getting more closely to the essence of the things that you feel and the things that you understand, feelings of connection with. And because this is happening, this even feels like entering into a period where you're honoring yourself more, where there's more love. I think where there's more compassion, more understanding, you can feel like you're taking better care of yourself now. And as you're doing that, it kind of reminds me of, you know, when you're connecting with somebody and you're getting to know them better, and so like you ask them questions like what do they like, what do they not like trying to familiarize yourself. I feel like you're doing that but with yourself. That's what this feels like to me, that's what's happening here. And it feels like on an internal level this is happening, like what do you feel happy with, or what is your passion, or when do you feel most creative. It's the stuff that feels inspiring to you, the stuff that brings like shine into your life. And I think the stuff that can be connected with you kind of stabilizing as well too, like environments that you want to be in and like the vibe, because we have King of Cups and Queen of Cups. So this is like being places that you actually, being places and around people and in environments and doing things where you're checking in about the feelings that you get about this, because it's about what you're tuning into and what you're sensing. And when we have Venus here, it is about our relationships. And so, yeah, that's what this looks like as far as the process that you're undergoing right now. I think from a place of self-discovery, this is what you are doing right now, which feels just very appropriate for the times. And you can also be learning more about what you are interested in, tuning more into what you are interested in, what you feel drawn towards. And seeing that opportunities really are available. Growth is happening. This feels like a lot of emotional growth that's happening. You can also feel like psychological growth that's happening too. And exploring your feelings. Yeah, I'm seeing Pisces and I'm seeing Venus here, and when I think of Venus in Pisces, this is like a very, very spiritually connected energy beyond just like materialism and whatnot, because Pisces is that like everything beyond the material realm. It feels like checking in with those things on a deep, deep internal level and from a place of self-discovery, knowledge, tuning in, checking in with like mental health, emotional health, exploring yourself, exploring unknown depths of yourself too, because we have the moon here, exploring opportunities, and I think also embracing the unknown, because this feels like you're moving into a place where there's a lot of, like, you're stepping into a place of curiosity, openness, self-discovery, opportunity, doors opening. You don't know necessarily where they're going to lead, but you're sort of following the tune of yourself and your feelings now, and so it's going to lead you somewhere. And I feel like there's an openness, sort of like a welcoming friendliness when it comes to the unknown, rather than it feeling so maybe frightening or intimidating. This feels more so like becoming a friend of it, because of being curious and because of being in a place where, rather than pushing away your emotions or pushing something down, it feels like this is coming from a place of, I'm showing up for myself, I'm doing this as lovingly as possible towards myself, and that opportunities are presenting themselves because of you being in this place now. And I do think that this has a big impact on your future as well, and seeing the difference between what you imagined versus what makes more sense now. But yeah, you can feel kind of like whatever trajectory you had is going through it's going through a bit of reshaping right now, and can initially feel kind of unsettling, but then saying like, let me just approach this from a place of exploration and see what this is that's popping up, and see that there's freedom within this, and I think something that will fit a bit better than what you were maybe, the path you were trying to put yourself on before, that maybe didn't feel as genuine to you. I do feel like this is a time when there is a lot of exploration of things that you're attracted to, of your skills and your abilities, things of that nature. Stuff that you enjoy doing, stuff that you feel interested in doing. Stuff that feels fun for you. Stuff that feels... There's a word that I'm looking for here. It's like when you do something and it feels good to do that thing. It's beyond just something feeling complimentary to you. It's like you get back something from being a part of something that feels like it fits. It's like whatever that feeling would be. I know that there's a word for it. I'm just not finding it right now. It's like, it's kind of like a synonym for something feeling gratifying. And in a way where it's tuned in with your most genuine energy. Connecting with empowerment too. Yeah, I do kind of feel like like where you had maybe seen yourself going before, you were kind of like that road started collapsing, and so you're being sort of migrated somewhere else, but this is really where you're meant to be. And so at first when that collapsing starts happening, you could have been like, no, this was the path, this is where I'm supposed to be. But then the more you're tuning in, the more you're like, it's good that this is happening because it's putting me, I think, more closely like where I'm meant to be. But without that happening, which can feel kind of disruptive initially, I think that the trajectory would have been a bit different. So even though there can be a lot that's up in the air still, you can feel like there's a lot more hope. And I also feel too like things connected with the future and where you're going and how things are happening and progress that you're making, it really feels like you're going the distance here. And it also feels too like when you have energy come up within you that is like you can't ignore it, it feels like finding productive ways to work with that. Like this feels like a lot that you're learning on an emotional level about how to deal with big things that you feel and how to maneuver through that, and also how to not like lose it completely or have things become very out of control. This feels like learning how to experience what you're experiencing and still sort of remain, I think, a bit more grounded. And I also feel too like opportunities that you don't expect end up materializing. And I think things that you can really advance upon, things that you can really take initiative with. I feel too like things are popping up and maybe going differently than how you expected them to as well. Like one thing leads somewhere that maybe you don't expect for it to. And I also feel like the opportunities that pop up are allowing you to pierce things that maybe you weren't able to get through before. It feels like there's energy behind that. Like I feel kind of a more... It's not like you weren't taking initiative before, but I feel like there's more so more of a self-starting energy here. But maybe that's because you feel like it's more connected and more in tune and like there's more purpose to it. Because before, maybe you were initiating a bunch of stuff and like trying to do a bunch of stuff, but you could have felt like you were hitting walls before, or like it wasn't like building sort of what you wanted it to build, or it just stuff felt kind of disconnected before. Now this feels like things are connecting, and it also feels like the energy behind the movement has a bit of an agenda, and it's very connected with this tuned in sort of like vibe that you're working with here. So I feel like you are more effective, and maybe you were like you were putting in effort before, you're putting in effort now, but it feels more effective now because it's more in tune with the rest of you that maybe was out of touch before. And this feels like it's because you are in a place of self-discovery, internal self-discovery that's happening. And I think like emotional self-discovery, discovery of feelings, there can be stuff about like self-psychology, spirituality, those things, like healing and whatnot. And that instead of being like, I'm going to tell myself what I'm going to be doing, but doing it from an out of touch place, this feels like tuning in and checking in with yourself and saying, okay, like if this is something that I like, or if this is a skill that I have, like I imagine that it would progress in this way. And then sort of like tuning into your path rather than telling yourself what the path is, but then being out of touch when you're doing that. It feels like feeling out the path, because it feels too like the path is already there. You don't have to like make it up, but it's about tuning into what your path is, and that's what's happening. Like there's more of a self-observation now. And even though I still see like a lot is still up in the air and there is still a lot that you're figuring out, and it can feel at times like everything's collapsing around me, at the same time I feel like you're in a really great position right now, like very much on track, even though you can be like, what track is that though? But it feels like you're in the right place. That is the feeling of the energy. And like you are very tuned in. And I think more grounded too. Like I see a less frazzled energy here. Because maybe that's how you were feeling before because of like all of the oscillation emotionally. I see you with like more level-headed, sort of approaching the unknown. And I think working through some very tumultuous energy that can be difficult because you can feel like it keeps flipping you around, moving you around, and then landing on your feet. And that is what I'm seeing here for you. And I feel too like there's opportunity that's showing up that it feels like it's aligned with what you love and what you enjoy, and that this is it feels like a lesson that you're learning about honoring that part of yourself, and that's when you really feel like I'm going somewhere, and maybe you weren't feeling like that before. So even though you may not know exactly like what's going to be going on, it feels like there's something really important here that's happening now. And I think feeling good about that and what that's going to be. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.